and welcome to this panel entitled Welcome Home, the Power of Playful Communities. I am going to be your moderator for this panel. I am Dr. Rachel Kowert. I am a research psychologist and the research director of Take This, which is the first mental health nonprofit to form working specifically within gaming communities and the gaming industry. I am also the host of Zeitgeist on YouTube and Twitch, which focuses on drawing the curtain behind the science of games. And we're going to be doing that a little bit today with our panelists, talking about the power of playful communities and how they form and revolve around games. I am truly honored to be the panel host of this incredible group of individuals. You know, a lot of times we talk about online communities and how they're less valuable or they're just less than generally face-to-face communities. And we're going to debunk some of those myths today. So without further ado, I would love for my guests to introduce themselves, who they are, a bit about them, and a bit about their own communities, starting with Tanya.
Hey everybody, my name is Tanya DePass, known as Cypher Tier Online. And, you know, if you've seen I Need Diverse Games Anywhere, that was me being mad about video games literally at 6 in the morning about 6 years ago. And from that, I now run a nonprofit, I Need Diverse Games. I am a partner Twitch streamer. I do a lot of RPG stuff, diversity and inclusion work. And my community is very inclusive, welcoming, and I'd like to think a safe space for folks. We've luckily not had to have anyone be shown the door very often, and you know, all are welcome until you show that you don't know how to behave.
Very good. You're also the host of Dungeon Crossing.
Yes, I am the host of Dungeon Crossing, which is where Animal Crossing and D&D meet in the basement of my Animal Crossing house, where I teach Gary Whitta, Shannon Woodward, Brian Gray, and Adam Nickerson how to play D&D with their now level 4 characters. We do that every Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 11 a.m. Mountain on both my channel and Gary Whitta. We do a squad stream. And, you know, whenever you get to see this, hopefully you'll come on by and get to hang out with us in Animal Crossing.
It is what we all need during the quarantine. I'm not kidding. It's the best. And next we have M.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Shanley, or Mxiety. I am a Twitch partner, mental health talk show host. So what we do is our goal is to bridge the gap between mental health professionals and those who are interested in learning about mental health information, and thus together breaking the stigma. What we do is we have open topic discussions on mental health. Again, I interview professionals. I talk to people who are interested in sharing their story and about what it's like to live with mental health conditions and overcome them or not. And also we have positive news days, and I think I mentioned open topic discussions. So that's that. And I've also written a book about my personal journey.
You have. What's it called? Plug the book. The book is wonderful.
What? Okay, an endorse. Thank you. But it's called Well, That Explains It. It's a series of personal essays that are backed by research.
Yes, fantastic. And last but not least, we have Tonzy.
Hi guys, I'm Tanzi. I am a drag streamer here on Twitch, a former Mixer partner. And yeah, I can't really compare to these lovely ladies below me, or I don't know where they are on the screen. But really, I just focus on being me. There's no really like schedule. We just play horror games, any game that we feel like playing. But the main message I try to send out to everyone is just be whoever you want to be, and break stigmas. You know, go above and beyond, and just be yourself, and don't care. And that's what I do on my stream. So,
and it's wonderful. If there was ever a beacon of love and light, it is Tonzy, for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
And also Tonzy has us all beat on the makeup game.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look at that.
I mean, and I tried, but no one can compare.
I didn't even bother.
Stop.
We knew it wasn't going to be a competition because we all lost. So today is going to be a little bit of an unconventional panel. We only have 30 minutes, and I want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to talk about their communities and their experiences. And each person on this panel was specifically invited here today because of their unique perspectives. So before I turn the floor over to them, I just want to make a small note. Gary Whitta was supposed to be here today to talk about animal Animal Talking, and the role that online community around games has played when he created Animal Talking as compared to the more traditional types of interviewing he did before, like on podcasts. He wasn't able to come, but I just wanted to shout him out that he was meant to be here, and Animal Talking is amazing. I know Tanya's been on it before, and it's something that you should really check out. You can genuinely hear the delight in people's voices when they come to his set on Animal Talking, and it's wonderful. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over. I'm going to start with Tanya, who's going to talk a bit about her community, cohesion, and forming safe spaces on the internet that can come together for larger impact.
Oh boy, where to start? So with my, it's just one of the things where I'm like, you're fine until you have to talk about something. You're like,
Yeah.
every thought goes out of your head. So my committee formed around I Need Diverse Games, which is something that formed out of my frustration with the games industry, not seeing myself represented. And, you know, there's so many games where I don't get to be cis female, I don't get to be Black, still can't be, you know, more than a size 10 female in a game. You know, my hair is never in games, or it looks like yarn, it looks terrible. So a lot of that collated into me tweeting about some games that were coming out in, 2014, and adding the hashtag I Need Diverse Games, because I do, and we still do, even in 2020, after doing this for 6 years. And, you know, it sprouted out of my personal account. Now it has its own account, it has its own everything. We've even got our own Twitch account where we do some RPGs and other content. And the community that grew out of that whole thing is what buoyed me into streaming on my own, because I didn't start streaming. Actually, no, I take that back. I've been streaming since 2014 as well. So I'm almost 7 years on Twitch, a partner for almost 3 years. But that community that grew out of I Need Diverse Games is what came along with me on the journey to stream on Twitch. And, you know, I've always wanted to have a community that I never found online. Because, you know, as we know, inclusivity online is a pipe dream in many places. And it takes work. And a lot of people don't seem to realize that. They think, I stream, I'll make a Discord, and it'll be great. And it's like, no, you have to do work. You can't just build it and they'll come. You have to put in the work. So we've got a robust mod squad. Anyone who is a Twitch moderator is usually a Discord moderator. If they're in there, we've got a few people who are admins. And normally when I get to travel a lot, they're in charge of the Discord when I'm gone. And, you know, they are empowered to act as I am, at least those that are admins. And, you know, a lot of it is just discussion, because I never want to be the, like, I'm putting my foot down, I'm at the top of this pyramid. A lot of decisions are made through discussion with the mod team. And, you know, unfortunately, because the internet is a terrible place, we've now had to kind of safeguard our Discord and our community. I don't give out the Discord link as freely. But when people subscribe, I just remind them, hey, just connect your Discord and your Twitch. But, you know, we just kind of we actually have a code of conduct, which people are supposed to read before they say, yes, I've read the rules, I understand what's expected of me. So basically, the behavior that is expected when you're in the Twitch stream is also expected in the Discord. And that is to, you know, treat everyone fairly, be mindful of your socioeconomic status, realize that we do have a very global community, and that what is true for you maybe as an American is not true for someone in the UK or Australia or New Zealand. And that, you know, things like reverse racism and, you know, white privilege isn't real are not things that are going to fly in the Discord. Unfortunately, one of the people we had to ask to leave because of that was someone who didn't understand that as a very, that I don't want to say as a very white person, that would sound really weird, but as a UK based white person, they didn't understand why they couldn't use certain slurs, you know, being the N-word. And when their response was, well, you know, Jesus and Mero, two very famous Black men, said it, and without, you know, with trying to discuss it, and they still didn't get it. Unfortunately, that was a thing where we had to go, you know, maybe this community is not for you. And we tried to give them a break and they still didn't get it. So unfortunately I had to go. So, you know, the best way to put it is our community is inclusive, but we are not afraid to tell people they need to go. We're not afraid of real discussions. You know, we do have channels like about politics, about mental health, about health and wellness. And, you know, we just remind people, if this is a triggering topic, if you just aren't in a mind frame to deal with it, like I've got the politics channel muted in my own Discord, mostly because some people don't know how to have conversations. And I just go, you know what? Not today. I'm just not going to deal with that. But But I think games are a catalyst that brought us all there. I've made lifelong friends because of the games that I made. The game that I started streaming, what got me to decide to get on Twitch was Dragon Age Inquisition. And I've been a very long Dragon Age fan, and I've made so many great friends because of that fandom, and Mass Effect and, all these games that have come out ever since. And, that's kind of the glue that brought us there and keeps us together. But there's so many other topics people now talk about, like fashion, clothes. We've got people who are like sommelier level connoisseurs of wine and whiskey and things like that. So I think games are a great medium, not just, games are not just for kids, they're not just entertainment. They are a medium, they're a teaching tool, they're a genre, and that's what brought everyone into the Discord and what keeps them there. And hopefully all the games that have come out in 2020 have kept everyone relatively, doing as well as they can. And, Animal Crossing has been the thing that has kept me kind of above board. And I never thought I'd say that because I'd never touched Animal Crossing before this year.
It's funny what you say also about Animal Crossing, because that is like the game of the pandemic. That is no joke. But games brought you together, and now it sounds like you have a community that's really based on, education and industry change, and I mean, a place where you can talk about politics. I mute all politics things on the internet, so I'm very impressed.
Yeah. No, I let people go, and then if things get heated, mods step in, or if need be, I'm just like. And that's when we have to kind of have the reminder of, hey, remember, we're a global community. If you're not from the US, be mindful of that. If you see things about police brutality, things like that, remember, racism is still global, despite what you might think. But don't discount when someone says, oh, well, this happened. Or, if we start talking about Breonna Taylor or anyone else who has unfortunately been murdered by the cops, don't just act like, oh, well, I'm glad I live in not the US, because that would never happen here. It's like, oh, let me show you the news. Let me remind you that this is a thing. And, for the most part, everyone's respectful. Of the nearly 1,000 people in there, I think we've had to, kind of show the door to maybe 5 people over the course of the few years we've been up.
Yeah, that's not that. That's a very tiny percentage of the internet. 5 people, so that's pretty good.
I also pretty much like, no, you're not going to do that here. I adopted that stance. And if you don't know how to act, I'm going to show you the door. And sometimes I'm not. That's a polite way of putting it versus how I actually say it when someone has to go.
Boundaries are really important. But I think it's also maybe surprising to some to realize that communities that form around Animal Crossing or a simple just hashtag I need diverse games, just about a sentiment that people share, can create such a community. And Dungeon Crossing, it's my favorite thing. Thank you for sharing that, Tanya.
You're so welcome.
We're going to talk to Em now a little bit about social community. Again, another serious topic when it comes to mental health and mental health advocacy.
Yeah, so I started my community back in 2017 over the fact that I wasn't feeling well, and I'd always had this dream of writing and creating a space where people could come. I found that there was a lot of people talking about their personal experience with mental health, and then there was a lot of people talking, there's a lot of professionals and talking about the other side, about what you should be doing and what's good for you. And I felt like there wasn't somebody in the middle kind of connecting those two things. And so I set out to do that. And originally I was like, okay, we're going to talk about mental health, and we're going to do it over, like, while I research an article about a topic that we're all talking about. And then we started playing Stardew, and that is where the community kind of slowly started trickling in, because the themes of Stardew kind of lend themselves to mental health. Like, if you get a certain amount of hearts with certain characters, you get to really know them and who they are as people. And in some cases, there's literally mental health emergencies in the game. But in other cases, it opens up to those themes of, what is PTSD, just what is trauma in general. And it was really great. It was a stepping stone. And where we are now is fantastic, because it's a space where the feedback that I get consistently from professionals and people who share their stories, who come onto my show alike, is, wow, your community is so open, is so kind, and that's it. Like, it's a lot of people. I feel like it is way bigger than I am. This idea that just forwarding mental health education as a way to reduce the stigma. And I say it's way bigger than I am. We have a saying in the stream, if you feel like the world is dark and nobody can give you the love and the care that you need, go out there and be that light to others. And that's the concept that I feel like is bigger than any one person. I feel like people who adopt that belief of be the light for themselves, have that uniting principle of like, okay, we're all in this to make something better together, to help other people together for this better good. Even outside of mental health, just being kind and accepting and listening to other people's values and opinions and disagreeing in a polite way. We've also definitely, like Tanya was saying, we've definitely had people we've had to give the boot to, and it's usually people who, will cry that like, oh, nobody's hearing me out, but really they're the ones not listening. That's kind of where we've been hit most commonly, unfortunately. But so it's something that started over a relaxing game meant to kind of be a great way to wind down at the end of the day ends up being this beautiful place where people walk away having, we've had really tough discussions. We've talked about violence in video games. We talked about gun violence and mental illness. We have talked about parasocial relationships just recently. We've had like every and all discussion, and nothing has been swept under the rug, and everybody has always come to a place where we can not even agree to disagree, but just, I agree to respect your opinion, even though it's not similar to the one that I have, unless your opinion directly like hurts somebody else, obviously. But it's been an honor, and I think I say that, or I try to say that at least every day, to be able to come to a space where I know that I can authentically be myself, whether I'm having the best day ever, or I'm having a crappy day and I just want to be around my friends, and I just want to feel, that my concern is valid, or my depression is valid, and my anxiety is valid, and all those things that before I created this community often felt like, oh my gosh, am I making this up? Oh my gosh, am I doing this for attention? Am I really this terrible of a person that I experience these things? Am I broken? All of these feelings I honestly have kind of melted away in the past 3 years, because I know there's a space with other people who also want to know, like me, that they are not broken, that their mental health issues do not define them, but they're also a big part of them. And they also, will affect the way that they have relationships with other people and just interact with the world in general. And again, like I keep repeating it because it's true. Like it feels like a huge honor to be able to have this space, and it's its own ecosystem, I feel like, and it needs to be constantly cultivated, from the sense of like, rules need to be reminded, new people come in, they need to be assimilated. I'm so sorry for that there was a little bing bing bing. There was a little sound. I don't think anybody heard it, but it's going to be in the recording. I'm really sorry about that.
Only you heard it, but it's okay.
Yeah. So that's that, and I'm incredibly honored, and I just feel like we're really creating a space where mental health isn't just like this scary thing, where it can be discussed and it can be accepted.
I mean, I think that many people might find it strange that you just described an online community, I wrote it down, as open and kind.
We're trying.
I mean, that's right.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely bumped into people. It's sad whenever you have to remove community members, especially people who you feel like were an important part of the community. But whenever I have found that people will commonly, and this is not my quote, but the quote is, "Etiquette is not censorship," and people will use that as an excuse to be unkind. Well, they'll say something unkind and then be like, oh, well, you can't censor me because that's not fair, and freedom of speech and stuff. And we're like, yes, but that's hurtful to a fellow human being, so that's not nice. The nice thing to do is, the polite thing to do is to not have said what you just said. So that's a hard thing, because it does, I've never intended or wanted to be a gatekeeper of any kind, including on like how mental health information is spread or, you know, who says, but it is a weird feeling of having to kind of, along with admins and moderators, to be in that space, to be able to say like, no, you actually, that is not a nice thing to say. And that's not subjective, that's objective. You should not have said
That's
that.
objectively mean. It's like what
Right.
Tanya was saying.
Yeah.
Like you give them a chance and then it's like, I mean, to have these spaces that people, I don't think commonly think of gaming spaces particularly, but online spaces generally as kind and open and forgiving. And know that you're not the only examples where this is the case, but it sounds like boundaries are really the key to that.
Yeah, huge for sure.
Yeah. All right, last but not least, my dear on the end, Tonzy is going to talk a bit about the power of creating social community around gaming and self-expression.
Yeah. I really don't know where to start with this. So I guess I'll just start with like how everyone else did. I started streaming originally on Beam, which became Mixer. I think that was about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know. I'm old at this point. I'll be 25 next month.
Oh my God, shut up. His face is perfect.
Had to throw a little sass in there. But I really wanted, my original want and desire was to combine the two things I loved: makeup, video games, and being the center of attention. I love attention. Please give it to me. But no, I wanted to express myself in a way that not a lot of people understand, and also throw in video games because people understand video games, but also throw it in their face. And I think that's kind of where I've grown my community in a sense, is because I'm not kind about it. And I'll openly admit that. I really shove my opinion in people's faces. I have very strong opinions. And I think that's kind of where I've grown my community, is around speaking the truth, or at least what I think the truth is. And really that comes down to, are you a good person or are you not a good person? And I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it, but Mxiety was talking about like freedom of speech, and a lot of people like abuse that power, and that really grinds my gears. And that's like a part of it, is like, you don't, just because there's freedom of speech doesn't allow you to be a bad human being. If you're trying to control other people, you're wrong. There's no arguing about it. If you're affecting someone else's life, trying to control someone's life, giving your opinion on someone's life, you're just wrong. There's no discussing the matter. You're like, live your life. And that's kind of where, again, my community has been formed. I want to create a community where people don't have to even question who they are. Come in my community, be exactly who you want to be. As long as you're not hurting other people, as long as you're not controlling them, you are welcome to hang out with me, play video games with me, and be in this community of love. Even though I'm harsh, I speak my opinions. It's nothing but love. And I love every single one of my viewers. Yeah, I kind of forgot the question, but I'm just...
Oh, no, that's great. So what would you say then is maybe like the greatest advantage of creating this community and fostering this community around games? Because games, it's like you said, it's games they can understand, maybe some of the other parts they don't understand, but the games bring them in, and then they get the whole package.
I mean, I think for me, I don't know if this will answer your question, but video games in general, they may like be flashy and fun and stuff, but on the like back side of it, behind the scenes is what I'm trying to say, it's like a very negative community. Video games and the gaming community is actually just filled with toxic, like, I'm just going to say how I want to say it at this point. There's a lot of toxic males in video games, and that's kind of like where another passion of mine comes in, is I want to destroy that. I want to get rid of that from gaming, because gaming for me, like when I was a child, was like fun, and it was a way to escape, and it was an adventure. And now working in the gaming community, it's toxic men spitting out their opinions, sexism, homophobia, racism. And that's kind of like where a big passion of mine is I want to like remove that. So that's kind of like where video games come in for me. They are a fun passion, but behind the scenes, that's like really what I want to promote is like video games are fun and for everybody. And it's not okay to gate people because they're a woman or they're gay or they wear makeup or they're black, you know, like it's just crazy to me that people want to control other people. And especially when it comes to something I love, like video games, like that was my childhood and that's my love. And to know that something I love and I'm so positive about has such a negative thing connected to it, like makes me sad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, that's why I brought you all here today, because toxic gamer cultures, it is a real problem and it is a real issue. But it sounds like the three of you have found ways to kind of create little pockets of support and love. And, games are special because they are so nostalgic and they really do bring us in and bring us together. I'm also a firm believer that games are for everyone and should be for everyone. And, when you see the negative and bad behavior, it can turn people off. So part of my goal of this panel today was to kind of debunk some of these stereotypes that every corner of the gaming world is infiltrated. Not every corner. Here are three corners that you can find that are not fully infiltrated.
I think the again, it's a very weird thing to kind of be the judge or jury on this topic, to be able to say, yes, it's okay to have your opinion, but that ain't it, chief. But at the same time,
I don't think it's judge and jury. I think it's more in the place that we are cultivating. I look at it as when you come to the stream and you come to the chat, you are visiting my virtual home at that moment. And I've let you in the door. And if you act out, if you spill things on the rug, pee on it, and then act like, oh, well, but you invited me in, can I do whatever I want?
right.
For me, that's the way I treat it. And even more with the Discord, because there's a limit to what you can say and do in a Twitch chat.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in a Discord where you can put links, you can put photos, depending on how the Discord's set up, if it's a place where you can interact, there's so many ways to have miscommunication, because what I always harp on, especially on chat and in the Discord, is that tone does not convey over text.
Mm-hmm.
People want to go, well, I was just joking, or that's just how I am. I'm like, that's nice. You won't be that way here. Or when people come in, you brought up parasocial relationships. The way that people come in and get too familiar, or they feel like I subscribe to you on Twitch. That $5 a month entitles me to treat you however I want. And it's getting that mindset out of people and remembering that we can disagree on pineapple on pizza. We can disagree on if it's a blue or a black or whatever the dress thing was. What we're not going to disagree on is whether I, as a Black female in this country, get basic human rights. If that's what you feel like, then you can go. If you want to come into a stream and go, well, Black lives don't matter, because now I very intentionally have Black Lives Matter as a hashtag in my stream title. I don't care what I'm doing. Rainbow Arcade is in there. So if you got a problem with me being Black or queer, this is not the spot for you. So I don't think that we're being judge and jury. We are setting boundaries for what we will and will not accept, both in our chat and in the communities that we're cultivating, be that our Twitter followers, be that our Discord, however we're interacting with our communities, because I really hate the word fan and it makes me cringe and like want to crawl away when someone says they're a fan. That's my own baggage. But that's why I never want to look at it as I'm an arbiter of X, Y, or Z. It is, here's the boundary. I've let you in the front door. And if you don't know how to behave, like in, Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff, you'll get shown the front door, which I shouldn't joke about because he did get treated really badly on that show. But that's the way I look at it, because I always feel like a little weird saying I'm the judge of whatever. Now, if I let you literally in my apartment, that's a whole other conversation.
That's the next level.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here. I know this was short and sweet and to the point, but I hope that it helped for the people who are watching to see that gaming communities are not superficial. communities. They can be communities of real social and emotional support, real spaces of comfort. I know people say like find your tribe, but I think all three of you at some point mentioned about how you love your community and how your community, sometimes you consider them family, sometimes you consider them friends. I mean, it's more than just what most people assume that it is. They're real relationships and real communities. Thank you again for taking your time to share your thoughts. And I hope that you have taken away some new information about the power of gaming communities.